and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we're introducing our new set, Winter Village, and its coordinating dies. So let's go ahead and check it out. This set is full of cute little houses that are perfect for making your own winter village. And we have all of these different styles. We have the little tall house and the short house, kind of like a little church, and all of these different ones that you can mix and match to create really cool scenes. We also have those little snow pieces that you can add to the tops of the houses at the top, and then the little triple grouping of houses I just love. We have these cute little Christmas trees and these little dots there that are for decorating the Christmas tree either with lights or snow, so you can add them right on top and it adds the perfect little detail to the trees. We have a cute little star topper for the trees, a lamppost for helping to set the scene. We have those little hearts that can come out of the chimneys of the houses and a little puff of smoke too. And then we've got great things for setting kind of a night sky scene for these houses. We have a shooting star, stars, and a moon. And then we also have this joy and love, which looks super cute coming out of the chimneys of the houses also. We have the sentiment holiday greetings, and then from our home to yours, and with love from all of us. Next, I'm going to be using my Copic markers to color in these houses. And I just love Copic markers, so I always use them because they're just my favorite. But I think these would look really, really cool watercolored too, so I'm going to have to try that next. Now, all of my coloring this time is based off of Yainea's coloring. So Yainea blows me away. I wish I was just like her. Everything she makes is so cool. And she did this really light coloring on her houses that I wanted to copy because I usually do everything way too bold all the time. And so I thought it'd be fun to try something new. So I'm trying to do kind of a lighter style of coloring, being inspired by what Yainea has done. And it's so fun to be inspired by your crafty friends. So here you can see I'm adding a nice little glow to all of those windows, and then of course to my little tree topper there. And you can see I'm going to color everything in that is yellow just because I have all those markers out, so I might as well go ahead and color all of those. I'm going to do the same thing here. I wanted the doors of the houses to all be the same, just to make it a little bit more cohesive because I'm going to color them all in a bunch of different colors. And so I thought it'd be nice if like every door is the same, it just makes them match. And so I'm going to color in all of those doors since I have my markers out, so I might as well get them all done at once. I really like using warm grays for things like the steps of the houses because I feel like it makes it kind of look like a cement step. It looks really nice for chimneys too. So I'm going to add all of those warm grays there, and then I'm going to color these top houses. I wanted them to be more traditional. So I'm doing kind of a really light brown blended into nothing with my colorless blender. And I think it looks really cool because it gives a hint of something, but it's almost like just having a white house. And then here, of course, I had to go to my aquas. I had to do a fun color. So I think that little church looks really cool in the aquas, and I'm going to color one more of the houses in the same way, trying to keep it as light as possible. Next, I'm going to add some neutral grays to the roofs, and I really like mixing in different types of browns and different types of grays so that you have kind of more neutral color roofs, but you still have differences between all of them when you mix and match the houses, which I think makes it really fun. And so I'm kind of going dark to medium to light, going lightest towards the top, and then I'm going to use a different shade of brown than I did on the top houses on this other house. And so I love all the mixing and matchings of the brown. Now what's really fun about these houses is that you can color them whatever color you want. So you could be inspired by your pattern paper and try to match them to your pattern paper, or you could do something in rainbow order or just use your favorite colors. I love that kind of your imagination is the limit with these houses because they really can be anything, which is super, super cool. So speaking of that, I am going to be creating a pink house. I think it'd be fun to live in a pink house. It'd be really cool. And you'll see I'm trying to keep it nice and light and kind of blend it out into nothing at the top. And at first I honestly wasn't sure about the pink house, but then later on I ended up loving it. So once it mixes, it matches with everything else. Now here's another pink, but just a little bit more towards the corally look. So I think that looks really nice next to that aqua. And then we'll color in those cute little hearts. And then we're going to do a blue house. Since we've got the aqua, we'll have the blue, and then we'll do the yellow. And now we're getting a nice mix of colors for our scene. Now for these little Christmas trees, I wanted to experiment with my colors a little bit. I have a tendency to always color these Christmas trees looking like a Christmas, very evergreen, kind of darker greens, but I thought the kind of aqua or neon-y yellowy greens would be really cute with these houses. It would kind of go with them. So here I'm doing more of kind of an aqua green, and I'm taking out different green markers and just playing around with them and seeing what they might look like, especially since I have a tendency to always use the colors that I'm doing on this tree. So it was fun to try new things and kind of mix and match and see what's going to look best with my little village. So here are the coordinating dies, and you can bend them apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate them. Then all you need to do is take the die and line it up with your stamped image, hold them in place with some low tack tape, run it through your die cut machine, and then you can pop them out of the dies, and then you're going to have a bunch of cute little houses that are going to be ready for creating scenes with. And you can just see how fun they are to mix and match. And then we've got those little snow banks there, and you can see you can add them to the tops of those houses. So it's really nice because those houses could be used all year depending on if you add the snow or not. Next, I'm going to be making a shadow box. So I'm going to be cutting out the one with the window here. So I'm going to place my window here right into the center, hold that in place with some tape and run it through my die cut machine. And then I'm also going to cut one piece that has no opening in it. Then I can go ahead and fold along the score lines that the die created for me. So there's a score line in the middle-ish of the box piece, and then there's a little tab on the outer edge. And we're going to fold those on both of the pieces. Then we're going to take some nice strong tape and add some tape to both of those tabs. Now I want to create one long piece out of these, so I am going to line them up, pull off that liner tape, and push down that tab to create one long piece. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut down some Bristol smooth cardstock for the inside of the box. So it's going to be 3 1/4 by 2 3/4 and 2 1/8 by 2 3/4, and those are going to be the panels for the inside. And so I'm going to do some ink blending with fish tank ink, peacock ink, and merman ink to create this sort of almost getting to dusk night sky kind of thing going on. So you can see I'm starting off of the cardstock and moving on to the cardstock, building up my colors. So I'm going from fish tank to peacock to merman and then going back, fish tank, peacock, merman, building up that color until it's nice and bold. Then I'm going to repeat the same thing on the side pieces, trying to make them look as similar as possible so it's going to look like one continuous sky. So you can see there I'm just blending all of those pieces, and then I'm going to add my powder tool here to make sure that my embossing powder is only going to stick to where I'm going to stamp with my Versamark ink. And I'm going to be stamping with one of my favorite stamps ever, and that's Snowy Backdrops, and I love it because it's got little snow pieces, but it also has little stars, and it's just so sweet. I don't know, I just love it, white heat embossed especially. So I'm going to stamp that on the bigger piece and then on the two side pieces. And then I can add my heat embossing powder. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on, and then after I get it on there, I'm going to flick the back of the cardstock to make sure that any excess doesn't stay on there when I go to heat emboss. I'm just going to flick that, and that's going to knock off any extra little pieces. And then I can repeat the same thing on all of my panels. Then it's time to use my heat tool to melt the powder, and this is honestly one of my favorite things ever. It makes me so happy to watch the powder melt. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I just love it, seeing it become nice, bright, white, and shiny. It's just so cool. So now I can add my panels to the inside of my box. I've added a ton of adhesive to them, and I'm going to try to kind of butt those two up against each other to make sure there's as little gap as possible so it looks as continuous as possible. And as I fill that in, you can see how our shadow box scene is forming. So I've cut some inserts also out of some nitpicky paper, and I'm going to change this in a second and you'll see how I do it. But I folded along the score lines that the die created for me, and I'm going to add some tape to each of those tabs. Then I'm going to insert my pieces into the box, and I want the snow hills to appear to be taller and taller. So you can see how as I go back, I'm shifting them up on the box, and that's going to end up making it look like these really tall snowy hills. So I'm going to fold all of those flat, and then I'm going to fold my box over, picking up that adhesive to create my cool snowy hills. Then I can take off the liner tape on that adhesive on the tab, line that piece up, and my box is formed. Now here's when I looked at it and I said, oh man, I really wish I would have cut the hills out of white cardstock instead of the little knit pattern. I really wanted them to be bright white. So I just popped those out of there. And this time I'm going to insert the pieces into the box when it's formed. This way is harder to insert them, but it's totally possible if you end up changing your mind like I always do. So I'm going to adhere it to one side and then fold it flat and then pick up the adhesive on the other. And that's going to make sure that it's always going to fold flat so that I can fit it in my envelope. So you can see I'm kind of taking care to adhere it there to that left side. Once I get it in the perfect position, I'm going to fold my box and let the box pick up the adhesive on the right side. And that's going to make sure that my pieces stay nice and flat for mailing, but then pop up to be nice and straight. So you'll see I'm just going to kind of fold them down, make sure that they're adhering well, and it's going to never look like I changed my mind. It's going to look just perfect. Now it's time to start adding in all of my little town pieces. So I'm going to try to add as many houses as possible. So I'm going to add in that little trio of houses and then start adding in my trees too for some nice pops of green. And it's really fun to just keep layering these, and you can put some in different places and then change them around if you change your mind. That's what's really, really cool about it. Now here's when I thought, oh, I really want to use one of those that little joy sentiment. And so I've stamped it in some Versamark ink, and I'm going to put both silver heat embossing powder and rose gold heat embossing powder on there and then melt it. And I wasn't sure which color I was going to like. And I ended up picking the silver one, but I'm going to save that rose gold one for later because it's so pretty. So I went ahead and die cut it using the coordinating die, and then I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of the house and glue that joy right on there. And then I can put the house back inside my shadow box, and I just love how that's looking already, and that's going to be the sentiment for my card. So now I'm layering trees in front of and behind the hills to create nice dimension, and I'm just going to keep adding in houses until I finally run out of houses. So you'll see it's going to look so cool with them all layered. It really looks like this great little snowy village. And I am so in love with how this looks. This box is actually based off of a card by Yanea, and I took her card and made it into a shadow box card, which I thought was a really fun thing to do. And so I just love creating it. It looks like one of those snow globes. It just makes me happy, and I cannot wait to send this to someone. Thank you so much to Yanea for inspiring me with her card. Now that I've created a shadow box, I thought it would be fun to just create a standard card, and in this case, I did the houses in rainbow order, which I thought was really fun because I had to do some bold houses too. And then I'm die cutting one of my favorite new dies. It's the stitched hillside backdrop, and I love it because in one pass through the die cut machine, you get the hills and you get the stitched frame. It's like nice and easy. I just think it's great. Now here is some perfectly plaid chill paper, and I've cut that down to a standard size. And then I'm using my stitched mountain borders on some storm cloud cardstock, and I'm going to die cut those out to help create my scene in the background. The Stitch Mountain Borders also has these great little snow caps, so I cut those from some white cardstock, and I'm going to layer those on top of all of my little mountains to help set this little wintry scene. Then I can add some adhesive to those mountains and layer them onto my sky, which is going to be that fun plaid. Now I've added a bunch of foam tape to my little hillside backdrop, and I'm going to layer that right over so that the mountains look like they're in the background with that foam tape in between them. I'm stamping holiday greetings in merman ink, and I'm going to use one of these sentiment banners here to die cut it, and so that's how my greeting's going to be on my card. So here I decided to start laying out my houses to see how they were going to look. And then I can go ahead and attach that purple one, and then I'll attach the pink one because they're both behind the trio of houses. And then I can add the trio of houses on top. And then that cute little lamppost, I think, just is that perfect little touch. I love how tiny and adorable it is. I'm going to trim off the excess there on that holiday banner, and then I'll add some foam tape to the back of it and add that to my card too. Then I'm going to create a standard size card base, 5.5 by 4.25, and I'll be able to add my whole panel to that. Then I wanted to add one last finishing touch, and that's the little joy smoke that comes out of the house. So I've die cut that, just stamped in some black ink, and I'm going to have that coming out of the chimney on the pink house. And so I just think it looks so pretty like that, and it kind of adds that nice finishing touch. And so this card is a recreation of a card by my friend Jen, so thank you so much for letting me recreate this for the video. So next up we have some gorgeous cards by the design team, and I love the red sky that Audrey created. I think it looks just so gorgeous. And Nicole put Very Happy Holidays with Winter Village in a shaker, and I think it looks incredible. This is the card by Yanea that inspired my shadow box. I just love how she used the outside in stitch scallop rectangles to kind of set her scene. And then this card by Elena is stunning. I love the red roofs on the houses. Elise got super creative, and she created a stitched hillside pop-up card with these. So you can see as you open the card, on the inside you get this great pop-up of a little winter village. And then Letitia got super creative too, and she made a non-Christmas card with this. I love it with the let's hang out sentiment. It's just so fun. And then this card by Lena is just beautiful. I love her snowy backdrop die cut sky, and I just love it. It just makes me smile. I love her coloring. And then Melissa's card is gorgeous. I love the color palette she used. It's kind of more of a masculine color palette. And Kristen did that too, and I think it looks so cool with that pattern paper on the diagonal just in the background. So I cannot wait to see your Winter Village cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching, and have an absolutely amazing day.